Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the previous episode, which I've linked down in the description below, we tried out this really incredible RAYQUAZA team that I have really just grown to love. I think this is easily one of my favorite teams I've featured on Road to Ranked this season, and it really is the most powerful RAYQUAZA team I've tried. Granted, I haven't tried that many, but I am super impressed by it in Series 12. So thank you so much to Scott for the team. Details for the team are in the description below, including one of the best, most in-depth team reports I've seen for team composition in a while, and I think it's really insightful, especially because obviously this features a very unorthodox restricted Pokemon, so, you know, getting into someone's mind and seeing how they build around a Pokemon that you don't see very often, I think is often just really valuable, and a lot of knowledge to gain from there. So, thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy. Question of the day, inspired by us using RAYQUAZA. I want to know what your favorite part about Gen 4 is. I think most people will probably say, like, the Battle Factory, Battle Frontier area, but that's also my answer. So, let me know yours down in the comment section below, and let's get started. Alright, starting the first game a little bit late here. I thought I was recording for the first 40 seconds, but apparently not. So we've got Palkia and Zacian here for the first team. Now, RAYQUAZA can be really solid here if I'm able to just put it under Tailwind, so that should be our ideal output. So I'm definitely going Whimsicott, RAYQUAZA, Zacian, just don't know who I want as the fourth. But I'm kind of down for a Whimsicott, Zacian lead, RAYQUAZA in the back, and then I don't think it's Umbreon. Gastro's tempting here. Incin's probably the safest option. I'm bringing Incin because it matches up well into the Zacian as well as the Rillaboom. Like, the problem is, like, none of our final three Pokemon, like, honestly do that much damage here. So the idea is then to bring something that at least provides utility against, like, one of the, you know, strongest Pokemon on my opponent's team, which is going to be the Zacian. So let's see. Grimm and Palkia as the lead. Okay. Turn 1's already interesting because I don't know what means of speed control the Grimmsnarl has, right? Like, are you going to go for something like a Thunder Wave or a Scary Faced? Because you could just Thunder Wave the Zacian immediately and then, like, Max Quake it as well. Honestly, I'm down to just Moonblast Grimmsnarl turn 1 and Protect here. Like, unless you have Fake Out on Grimmsnarl, Whimsicott actually does pretty well into Palkia here. You know, if I knew my opponent's full moveset and I knew, like, their only means of speed control was Thunder Wave, by the way, one really fun play you could do is, like, Protect Zacian turn 1, Dynamax Whimsicott to set up the Misty Terrain, and then turn 2, like, double up onto Palkia with another Max Starfall on a Play Rough. It's a very obscure play, right? Or Behemoth Blade, obviously. If it maxes. But, yeah. I don't know my opponent's moveset on Grimmsnarl. You can run Scary Face, Thunder Wave, right? There's so many options, so I'm not going to make that play. But, just a fun thing to mention, and, you know, about how you can, like, make specific plays if you know your opponent's specific moveset. Oh, they actually have Fake Out on Grimm, though, okay. Helping Hand plus Play Rough there would have demolished my opponent. And they have Max Flare! Oh! But they target Zacian. Okay, could be worse, I guess. It just feels sad because if I just went Helping Hand Play Rough turn 1, they would not have been in good shape. I kind of expect a Scary Freeze or a Thunder Wave here, right? Like, just feels fairly obvious. Down a Tailwind here. It's pretty possible that it's Focus Sash on Grimm. I'm going to Tailwind and switch out into Incineroar here. If they knock out Whimsicott, then I can bring out the RAYQUAZA, Fake Out Palkia, or sorry, Fake Out Grimmsnarl, Max Warwind Palkia. Like, I'm just looking to stall out my opponent's Dynamax here. But they had a very nice turn 1, right? And it was like the element of surprise of using Fake Out on Grimm as well as Max Flare on Palkia. Neither of those are, like, super shocking, but they're not exactly the most common options either. So the Tailwind here just ensures that even with potential speed control shenanigans from Grimm, we'll still be okay. Yep, there's Scary Face. And here's Max Flare. Perfect, Incin takes that. Okay, not bad. It's 2 turns of their Dynamax down already, and now I can go for Moonblast onto... Oops, let's not go for that. Okay, Moonblast onto the Grimmsnarl slot. Grimm could definitely switch out right now. But I don't think with Incineroar I want to really switch into either Pokemon I have in the back. I'd rather just sacrifice it. The one thing to consider is instead of clicking Fake Out, I go for something like a Flare Blitz to punish them switching if they go into, like, Zacian. I'm down for that, honestly. Getting rid of Grim isn't bad. I expect to lose Incineroar here, but okay, they're just gonna stay in with both. So there's Moonblast. Okay, almost just gets the knockout. And yeah, I actually don't really need a fake out here because I have Tailwinds. I'm gonna outpace them anyway, right? So even though turn 1 was really scary, it was okay because they didn't double up onto Whimsicott. I think if they doubled up onto Whimsicott and I didn't get Tailwind up there, that could have been really ugly for me. But in the end, this is actually not a bad trade-off at all, right? My opponent spent 3 turns of their Dynamax to do what? Knock out an Incineroar and chip away at my Zacian? We'll take that any day. My main question is the Palkia moveset. You revealed Quake as well as Flare, so it's like, I would expect it to just have 4 offensive attacks here. Like, did you really drop one of Dragon and Water? That feels kind of unlikely. So now I can go out into the RAYQUAZA. I go out into RAYQUAZA, you can bring out Zacian. None of the other Pokemon really scare me that much, and that's the strength of having RAYQUAZA here. Okay. They bring in Instant, which is totally fine. Okay. Seeing Instant here is interesting. Like, the one thing I have to be careful about is that they can actually switch the Palkia out into Zacian to beta max Wormwind, thus making my attack completely negated for the turn. I'm making an educated guess here, and I don't think Palkia is going to have Trick Room because of its moveset, and if you just look at my opponent's composition. So honestly, here I'm willing to go for a Helping Hand, Dynamax the RAYQUAZA, and then just max Quake into Incineroar, I think. That gives me a special defense boost, which is really valuable. And with one more turn of Tailwind left, I don't need to Airstream yet either. And if Palkia switches out into Zacian and Incin stays in, which might be what's happening here, we kind of just win. So, yeah. That's exactly why I didn't want to target Palkia there. Like, yes, Palkia's scary, but Dynamax is over now. Using RAYQUAZA here reminds me very much of Dialga, where it's like, you can be so powerful, but all it takes is your opponent to make one good switch in, and it stops so much of your pressure immediately, right? Imagine if I Wormwind there into the Zacian slot, and then the Incineroar goes for Parting Shot, right? Quake is always just objectively safe here, because, like, there's really no switch in they can have, right? And even if Palkia stays in, like, we eat up a Spatial Rend. Crit Spatial Rend would be, like, the main disastrous thing. Okay, they are going to have Shuka Berry, but that's fine, honestly, because even if you Parting Shot me at this point, like, RAYQUAZA is just in such a prime position to sweep. Okay. And that gets the one-hit knockout anyway. Beautiful. Like I said, I'm also willing to bet that the Palkia here is, does not have Protect. So now I can go for Cotton Spore, guarantee let both of my Pokemon outpace. Actually, it's better to just target... No, I should still target Palkia here, because, like, the only way my opponent could come back in this game, I think, is if they had a a Trick Room from Palkia, because I have the speed advantage. So the last turn of Tailwind, I have a special defense boost, and then with Wormwind, I also drop Zacian's attack. So the best play here is just a Cotton Spore and max Wormwind, because even if Palkia protects and Zacian crits onto RAYQUAZA, my Zacian just comes out, and then I can just Moonblast Palkia for a KO, and then Behemoth Blade Zacian. We'll trade Behemoth Blades, but then I have the speed advantage. The only way I could ever really lose here is if they got a Trick Room up, which is why I'm willing to attack into Palkia, even if it goes for a Protect, and I don't think it will, truthfully, given its moveset reveal already. Cool. So that's the thing with Palkia, right? Like, and I think this game is an interesting one on how you can make inferences on your opponent's moveset based off the moves that you see. Now, I might not be right in thinking that they don't have Protect or Trick Room here. It's funny because I was like, they don't have Trick Room, but in this endgame, since we had such a big lead, all I have to do is to cover for their only potential win con, which might not even actually exist, right? But in this position, knowing that our Zacian's healthy in the back and knowing RAYQUAZA is set up for success here, we're just in great shape. So, yeah. Once again, that's one of the strengths about this RAYQUAZA. If you stall at your opponent's Dynamax, you are just in a position to sweep, sweep, sweep. So, now you can just Tailwind again, as Tailwind just petered out, as you can see, and go for Max Quake, and that'll be bye-bye on Zacian. Actually, Zacian might survive this. I think if you're, like, ultra bulky, like max HP with a good amount of special defense investment, you can survive. So I'm curious if we get the one-hit knockout here. You do. Nice. yeah, I mean, this was a very nice Rayquaza game. Like, it literally just got one-hit KOs onto Palkia, onto Zacian, and onto the Incineroar. You can see how valuable Helping Hand support is because we were able to negate the Shuka Berry and get a special defense boost along the way. So, yeah, this was, I think, really honestly just an excellent demonstration of this Mon here. So, yeah, fun one to get started, and let's just look for another. Alright, next game here, and we actually finally get a Groudon team, but this one actually has Thundurus, Whimsicott, and Grimmsnarl, which is pretty interesting. Umbreon hasn't really gotten a chance to shine, although the goggles aren't really going to help it out much here. Just really trying to figure out the Grimmsnarl set, like RE Trick, for example. I'm also a little bit nervous about Charizard and Grimmsnarl as a lead from their end. Charizard, Grim. Honestly, maybe a Whimsicott Rayquaza here is okay with Zacian in the back, and then probably just Incin as the fourth. Umbreon isn't amazing here because it does take a lot from Charizard and Zacian, as well as Moonblast, and Fairy type attacks from Whimsicott and Grim. And Gastrodon here just, I don't think is super helpful. So, the general idea is, Rayquaza's Airlock is actually going to be very helpful. I guess actually because we had Airlock, like, Rayquaza Umbreon is one route we can take. Because, like, if you don't have Sun set up for Charizard, then Umbreon actually isn't in that bad shape. Although, that would not have worked out super well for us here. So, I'll take it. I think turn 1 I'm just going to Tailwind and then Max Quake into Zacian. The thing is that a Zacian Protect here feels pretty imminent. But I don't think I can just ignore it. I guess I could Tailwind Protect with my Rayquaza, but I don't mind getting a free special defense boost here. And then we have Zacian and Incin in the back. So the idea is, let's say you KO Whimsicott with the G-Max Wildfire turn 1, then I can just bring out my Zacian, turn 2 go Behemoth Blade, Max Wormin onto your Charizard, which picks up the KO if you don't Max Guard and also drops the Zacian's attack. The scary thing then is if they just, go for a Max Guard. So turn 1's already interesting because my question is, do you protect the Zacian? Because if not, I can just actually potentially pick up a one-hit knockout. And if I get the one-hit knockout onto Zacian on turn 1 for free like that, I think it's going to be really hard for my opponent to come back. So like I said, like, one thing I could have done here was made that read and just gone for Wormwind onto Charizard. But then I could actually just lose the game immediately if they go for Airstream and Behemoth Blade onto Rayquaza. But this might be one of those situations where it feels like my opponent really has to protect, because if not, you will just lose one of the most important Pokemon in the matchup. But they don't protect, okay. I think a lot of Zacians get lured into a false sense of security against Rayquaza, which is really sweet. Let's see if we can dunk on another Zacian here. Beautiful. That is such a satisfying feeling. Okay. That's the best case scenario, right? I just got a special defense boost onto Rayquaza, so Charizard just doesn't scare me at all. Like, even if you KO Whimsicott, it's just a free switch-in for me, right? And your Groudon Sun would be negated by Airlock anyway. So, yep, it is just Wildfire into Whimsicott. Perfect. So let's think about what my opponent has in the back, right? Grimmsnarl is one, Thundurus is one, Groudon's one. None of those are really that scary. Okay, your Life Orb Charizard, that's good to confirm. Okay. So now we can go into... I think it's fine to just go into Zacian here. I guess Incin's also fine because I could just fake out whatever's coming in, and Charizard shouldn't do any damage into Rayquaza. Not any, but it shouldn't do significant damage into me. So I'll go into it because if I go into my Zacian, like, I can actually get one shot by their Charizard still, given that they're Life Orbed. And they go into Groudon. Perfect. Cool, so this is where having Airlock is honestly really sweet, and that's one of the main reasons why using Rayquaza is really cool here. Okay, draw gets set up, but it's actually not really relevant here. You have Tailwind up. Fake out into Groudon is safe. What are their switch-ins at this point? They have a bunch of Fairy switch-ins, so I'm content going for Fake Out and just Airstream into Groudon here. Because I have a special defense boost on Rayquaza and Airlock is up right now. Okay, they switch Groudon out into Whimsicott. Perfect. I mean, this is ideal, right? Like, now they don't even have late game speed control, so I just get a free knockout onto the Whimsicott, and I still have another turn of max to work with RAYQUAZA. So this was just a RAYQUAZA sweep, and it all started by my opponent not protecting on turn 1. If they protect, then things get a little bit more interesting, because then I can't just ignore RAYQUAZA on turn 2 of the game, or I can't ignore Zacian with RAYQUAZA on turn 2 of the game. But since they gave up that knockout for free, it just puts us in amazing shape. Okay, I'm gonna go for an Airstream, but that's actually pretty meaningful damage. A little bit more than I would have anticipated, to be honest. But it's because it's Life Orb Charizard, obviously. Okay, take a little bit more Wildfire. And now it's Charizard's last turn of max here. The one thing I want to be careful about is letting it get speed boost and then also letting it stall out my Tailwind. So I just want to be thinking about that. But I still have 2 turns of Tailwind left and I have speed boost onto my own RAYQUAZA. So here I'm going to just Flare Blitz into Groudon and max Airstream into it. Because the Airstream will allow the Incineroar to definitely outpace the Charizard, and even if Groudon were to protect there, you know, oh my gosh, that was almost just a one-hit KO in itself. Even if Groudon protects there, it's still a free speed boost. If you knock out Incineroar, I get Zacian in for free, and then I can just max Whirlwind Charizard, Behemoth Blade Groudon. But the lack of protects here in this game like really hurt them, because I was essentially able to just freely double up the entire time. Now the reason I was willing to go for that in this game was because I already got that special defense boost on turn 1 of the game, so Charizard never really threatened RAYQUAZA that much, right? So it's going to be another Airstream here onto Incin, but at this point RAYQUAZA's just been left untouched. So I'm glad to finally go up against a Charizard Groudon team, because like part of the reason why, you know, this team was created was because of course Rinya's Sun was one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant team in the format. That team of course having Charizard, Groudon, Grimmsnarl, Gastrodon, Zacian, and Incineroar. And so like this team actually has a really favorable matchup into it, and it's also a team that Rinya's Sun players are generally not going to have prepared for, so you can really catch players off guard. Okay, no more Dynamax now, but that's fine. Charizard's max also ends. We got a bunch of speed boosts onto RAYQUAZA. And I've got Draco Meteor, so single Life Orb Draco here should just get the KO. Just double check the field state. Last turn of Wildfire and Tailwind. I'm at +2 speed. You're at +2 speed. Charizard should protect here. I guess there is a world in which I lose if I keep missing all of my attacks. Yeah, Charizard's gonna protect here. That's fine. Because if I actually technically miss all my attacks here, could still be doable for my opponent. Okay, we're going to take a little bit more of Wildfire. Yep. Tailwind Peter's out. Because I have the special defense boost, so I don't think any attack from Charizard should actually KO RAYQUAZA here, but if I miss Draco Meteor, I could lose, which is scary. See which attack they go for. It's gonna be Flamethrower. Okay, that's fine. Into RAYQUAZA. Yep, and I survived that very comfortably. Beautiful. Even if it was Blast Burn there, I'm pretty sure RAYQUAZA would survive. And if you Blast Burn, then obviously Zacian just wins the game immediately, so you actually can't go for that as an option. Their best bet, if they had, would have been Heat Wave to try to one-shot Zacian. Not even sure that gets the knockout, because it's bulky Zacian here with Airlock up, but it was fine in the end. Although it was scary, because I felt like that game was essentially over on turn 1. I was like, if they had crit Flamethrower there, they actually also may have won, because then it's just Zacian versus Charizard 1v1, and they're just faster than me. So it's a little bit scary, but in the end, it was fine. Either way, though, RAYQUAZA finally gets to go up against Groudon and shuts it down really completely, as well as the Charizard. So very happy about it there. Let's look for one last one. Third game here, and it is a Reshiram and Zacian team. Okay. Now, the thing is that Reshiram's normally Assault vested on these teams, so I'm not sure if I love using RAYQUAZA to deal with immediately. Like, I think the ideal output is to stall out Reshiram's max and then use RAYQUAZA to just one-shot everything post-Dynamax. So the question is, how do I get to that game state? It would mean having, like, RAYQUAZA in the back. I think Umbreon with Yawn here is actually kind of interesting to me here. The other thing to note about Umbreon here is, like, with the speed slot that we have, with Tailwind, can outspeed some things, which is valuable. I guess Gastro could work here as well, but I think I want to go with Whimsicott Umbreon here, honestly, with RAYQUAZA and Zacian in the back. Incineroar, I guess, isn't bad either, because, like, if you're a AV Reshiram, it can take an attack from it and then just parting shot. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I think Incin might be a little bit more consistent over Umbreon, because one of my main fears going into this was it being Defiant Thundurus, but if you look at my opponent's team, I feel like it's probably the Prankster variant, because Reshiram wants to Dynamax most of the time, but I could be wrong on that. And I'd be happy to be wrong here, because it would mean that Umbreon would be a bit more valuable. But, like, because I didn't want to bring Incineroar, because if it is Defiant Thundurus and I just activate it, like, carelessly, it can just sweep through me pretty quickly on, in my opinion. It is Thundurus Whimsicott, so maybe it is just Defiant instead. If that's the case, I'd be very happy. Okay, turn 1 then. What do I want to do? Tailwind. And just Yawn. The ideal output is they max Thundurus, but yeah, no max. They might just Moonblast Umbreon here. Oh, man. Or Trick Room from Whimsicott would be even wilder. Okay, just Dazzling Gleam, that's fine. Okay, you are the physical variant, but good decision to not Dynamax there. That actually puts me in a really tricky situation here, because Thundurus is always going to switch out here, I think, right? Which, actually, I can take advantage of that, so I can just Moonblast and Foul Play whatever's coming in, and that's going to be a ton of damage. I'm willing to make that. I guess you could stay in with Thundurus. I said you always switch out here, but you might actually just accept the sleep. So, it was a better decision, I think, to leave Incineroar on the bench, given that it is actually the Defiant Life Orb Thundurus. Interesting. They actually stay in here, but they protect Whimsicott. Okay. I really don't want to give it a Defiant boost here. That'd be very bad. Okay. That works. So get the knockout onto their Thundurus immediately. But to be honest, like, Thundurus was not really a threat to my team at all. Like, we have RAYQUAZA and Zacian. I don't think Thundurus is really that good against either of those, either. Zacian comes out. Now it makes sense for them to just Tailwind, target down Umbreon. I'm down to Cotton Spore here. And Foul Play into Zacian. Because if I get the Foul Play off, then you're probably in Behemoth Blade KO range for my Zacian. So this is one of the nice things about having the dual speed control. Zacian's just going to be in a pretty tough spot speed-wise right now. Oh, I could have actually considered going for Yawn there, no? Oh, they're faster anyway. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. Now what? It's pretty easy to go into Rayquaza, no? Because I can just Dynamax it. Helping Hand Max Quake Zacian. The thing is that, like, Zacian Protect and Whimsicott Dazzling Gleam here is pretty obvious, I think, as their play. We've dunked on so many Zacians with this Rayquaza, though, and once again, I'm not sure they'll expect... Like, basically, I have two plays to make here. I think the first is to Moonblast, Airstream, Whimsicott, reading into Zacian Protecting, and then the next one I can just Tailwind and Max Quake. The second is to just simply Tailwind and Quake Zacian right now. Or, sorry, not Tailwind. Helping Hand. I, like, get the feeling they're going to protect Zacian here. And, like, if Reshiram's their last one, this is, like, a game-winning play immediately. But in all the other games, I've decided to not target Zacian here. Or I've decided to target Zacian every time, so this might punish me this time around. It was actually probably safer to just target Zacian, but we'll see. The fact that they stay in, though, I don't think is a good sign. Because if I were them, I'd probably switch out instead of protecting, now that I think about it. Yeah, they just attack with it. Okay. So I try to make a read. If anything, though, I'm glad to highlight this, because this is why I've been attacking into Zacian, like, you know, throughout this entire day. Or throughout the entire, like, time while using this team. Because I feel like players just don't respect Rayquaza being able to potentially pick up a one-hit knockout onto it. Right, if I just gone for Moonblast there and Max Quake or Helping Hand Max Quake there, It's probably just game over, even if... Well, I guess Reshiram from their end could still, like, potentially pull off a comeback. But now if they just bladed into... Oh, did they blade into Whimsicott? If so, then we still have a game here. Okay. That works. Now they might not think that we actually have a way to one-shot their Zacian either, which would be funny. Tailwind peters out, but I got that speed boost. And they're caught in Spored. I think I'm probably done for here, though. I needed, yeah, like, the right play there was to just Quake into Zacian in the end. I just, like, finally made, try to make, like, a big read there, and it didn't really pay off, and it was an unnecessary read, too. But I'm glad to highlight plays like that, right? Because, like, I think there are a lot of times where you're probably watching as a viewer, and you're like, oh, why don't you just go for the obvious target? They're obviously going to protect said Pokemon, right? But when they don't go for, like, the obvious protect that you expect, it can completely catch you off guard. I guess there's a chance Reshiram's really slow here and RAYQUAZA can one-shot Zacian. You should just Wormwind RAYQUAZA. So it's still winnable if, like, their speed tiers are a little wonky here. Like, if I could get a special defense boost onto the Zacian, I one-shot their Zacian and get a play rough against their Reshiram, we could still win here. But ultimately, we actually, I wouldn't say had this in the bag, because AV late-game Reshiram could still be really good into my entire comp. But I had helping hand pressure from my Whimsicott as well. Would have been able to set up another Tailwind. So definitely would have been in better shape if I just went for the Quake onto Zacian. So let's see how the speed tiers play out here. Okay, you're not Jolly max speed, Zacian, so that's good. And I'm actually faster than the Reshiram, which is exactly what we at least need to get this started. So we'll get the one-hit knockout there. Okay, cool. And more importantly, I get a special defense boost along the way. This is what I'm saying. If they end up Wormwinding into RAYQUAZA here with the special defense boost, maybe I survive. Okay, they go for Flare. Then the play was to just protect there, no? No way, it survives on 1 HP. What? I might still be done for, though. But that is the best invisible focus sash I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, I have another turn of max here, right? So if RAYQUAZA's outspeeding, what I can do is Airstream into Reshiram and Behemoth Blade it. I can't believe Zacian survived on 1. That's wild. Although, since RAYQUAZA had an extra turn of Dynamax anyway, we may have been fine. Is there a way to win this without relying on accuracy, basically, is my question? Like, here's, the thing is, I would think Airstream into Behemoth Blade into Sacred Sword's enough for a knockout onto this. Which is why I went for that route. Because I wanted to avoid a world in which I need to rely on a Draco Meteor from RAYQUAZA to win the game. This is why you don't give up, though, right? It was looking kind of scary afterwards. But now we actually might just be able to win the game. I mean, shoutouts to the Zacian for surviving on 1 HP, though. That is ridiculous. But that's why you use bulky Zacian, right? I'm actually, like, double-checking the EV spread that the Zacian has on this team, out of curiosity. Because I don't remember the exact spread off the top of my head. But it's 252 HP for special defense, yeah. But this game could have been a lot cleaner if I had just Quaked Zacian the turn that I, made the read it would protect. And in retrospect, like, making the read that it's not going to protect there is kind of bad, because I already got the Cotton Spore onto it. So, like, I feel like protect is not the option you go for. You either switch out or just go for an attack, right? So, kind of an unnecessary prediction that I could have gotten punished for, but in the end it worked out. Final one of the day, and it's Yveltal, Groudon, Venusaur, Cinderace, and Raichu. I figured I'd do a fourth because the games have been pretty fast so far. So, given the weather here, I think RAYQUAZA, Whimsicott. I mean, Umbreon's, I feel like if I'm not bringing Umbreon into this matchup, when in the world am I bringing it, right? It's got goggles, it can snarl. So maybe I drop Incineroar. Like, I could go Whimsicott, RAYQUAZA, Zacian, Umbreon. Just trying to figure out in what order. Honestly, a Whimsicott Umbreon lead here sounds decently strong because it can apply so much, like, utility early on. I don't know if that's the absolute best approach, but we'll see. I just, like, feel like if I'm not bringing Umbreon into a matchup where they have an Yveltal, Groudon, and a Venusaur, well, you can bring it into the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup, obviously, as well. But it's like, those are probably 3 of the better Pokemon for Umbreon to see in Team Preview. So, I want to give it a shot here. Yveltal Raichu. This normally implies Fake Out Airstream turn 1 onto the Whimsicott, but it also could be a Air Balloon. It also could be a Helping Hand, like Max Airstream into Umbreon. I don't even know if that KOs, though. So I'm willing to make the switch here into Zacian. It doesn't feel great, but if it means getting a Yawn off onto Dynamax Yveltal, it's totally worth it. I guess the other play they could make is be Weakness Policy Yveltal, Self-Volt Switch to Activate Policy, Dynamax, and Airstream Umbreon immediately. That's a possibility. The goal is to just put Yveltal to sleep, though, because if Yveltal gets put to sleep, and we stalled its Dynamax, RAYQUAZA should just get a one-hit knockout onto practically everything in this game. Maybe not into AV Yveltal, but Zacian can easily deal with it. Because I don't have Protect here, I think I just have to eat up the potential Max Airstream, and Zacian's obviously a great switch-in into that. But there's a lot that can go wrong for us here, i.e. Volt Switch into Policy Yveltal into Airstream on Umbreon. Or just not Dynamaxing, that's also smart. That's interesting. Tailwind Yveltal is something that's popped up a little bit here and there. It actually got, was it second at the Japanese National Championships? The thing is, now Yveltal's going to feel pressure to switch out, right? So who do you switch into? What do I expect in the back? Groudon plus Incin? So play rough onto Yveltal's really safe here. And just yawn into it as well. That feels okay to me. If you switch in Incineroar, you still take around 40% from the play rough, and then you get hit by the yawn as well. Yep, there's Incin. And it's like, you set up Tailwind on turn 1, but now what do you have on the field? Incineroar and Raichu. What does that really do? Not very much. Okay. Good Volt Switch. So we've seen Volt Switch and Fake Out so far from Raichu. Normally Nuzzle. I don't know what the fourth is. But we don't really have any electric type attacks there, so not too much to worry about on that end. I think Umbreon's just really good into my opponent's entire comp right now, especially... Oh, okay, Cinderace. Interesting, so they didn't bring Groudon, okay. That player up does over for 50, jeez. Okay. Although, honestly, I think Cinderace over Groudon might be the right call for them. I would expect Incineroar to switch out now into maybe Yveltal. And then Cinderace here could just opt for like a high jump kick into Umbreon or like a fire type attack into Zacian. I think here, because I got the yawn off onto the Incineroar, I'm down to protect Zacian, switch out into Whimsicott. What I can do from there then is click Tailwind, match their Tailwind, and I've staggered it by 2 turns. The key thing as always is poising ourselves for a late game RAYQUAZA sweep, but it's looking decent because I've already chipped away at Incineroar. Cinderace should not be very defensive, although this could be Assault Vest. That's the one item to watch out for here in my opinion. So Incineroar does make the switch, yep. The only downside here is, yeah, they actually went into Raichu rather than Yveltal, so switching into Whimsicott's not really that effective because I can just click Fake Out onto it next turn, which is maybe not the best of my best move I could have made. Okay, they're not going to max Cinderace. I expected high jump kick. It could just be a Pyro Ball as well. Yeah, they opted for high jump kick. Which is smart, right? I think my opponent recognized, hey, I'm actually really Umbreon weak, so what's my best answer to deal with Umbreon? Well, it is going to be Cinderace. Your Life Orb. Okay. How many turns of Tailwind do they have left? It's only 1 turn left here. Like, I want to get Tailwind up, right? So the question is, can I sacrifice Zacian? Probably not. Actually, if I get Whimsicott next to... It's just, I need... Like, the thing is, I need Tailwind up first and foremost. That play was maybe a little bit too safe for me to make last turn. Wait, I don't need Tailwind in this game, because Zacian's already faster. So I'm down to switch out and actually just click Tailwind here anyway. Because the idea is, if you knock out Whimsicott here, I get a free switch in into Zacian, and Zacian just outspeeds both of my opponent's Pokemon. Or I can just go into RAYQUAZA. The problem if I go into RAYQUAZA is getting hit by a Nuzzle. Okay, they're gonna max Cinderace. That's not that surprising. I don't know why I went like... I was super shocked. I'm hoping the ideal output here is they click Fake Out into Whimsicott and then just G-Max Power Ball into Zacian, because then I can just Tailwind, and if I get Tailwind up in this game, Rayquaza and Zacian should just sweep through everything. Okay. Yep, there's Fake Out. It could be an Airstream into Whimsicott, though, and that's what scares me. Yeah, nicely done. I don't have the speed advantage anymore. Yeah, I should have just switched Whimsicott out and back in a guarantee that I outsped, I suppose, in retrospect. Maybe it's still okay, though, because, like, the thing is, a Max Knuckle here might not actually KO Umbreon, so if I get a Yawn off, it's actually A-okay. No more Tailwind from their end, but they did get a speed boost, so I don't expect Life Orb Knuckle to KO Raichu. Maybe they nuzzle me, but that's fine. Because now what I can do is I can go for Yawn onto Umbreon. Or sorry, onto Cinderace. Wait, why don't I just go for the knockout onto Cinderace, actually? Isn't that just better? Yeah, because that's the main thing that threatens my Zacian. So why don't I just Helping Hand, Dynamax, and just Airstream instead? That seems stronger. Because, like, what is Cinderace going to have that really threatens Rayquaza damage-wise? I actually don't think it has that many tools, right? I don't know, though. It's been a while since we fought Cinderace. But, like, you normally run, like, Fire, you can run Steel, Dark, Fighting, Normal. Like, those are the attacks of coverage that you're typically going to be using. The problem here is I can get hit by a Nuzzle on Raichu. If I get full Parrot, it's a disaster. Okay, they go for Knuckle. Perfect. So that means Quasla should be left untouched here. And if it's not Nuzzle coming out from Raichu, like, I think we're in very good shape. Umbreon does survive that, but yeah, like, you know, what is Yawn really accomplishing there? I guess Max Airstream into Yawn could have been an interesting option. I expect to get hit by a Nuzzle here. But they don't Nuzzle. Oh, that's huge. That's huge for so many reasons, because you just give up the speed boost that you have on Raichu, and this Helping Hand Airstream should get the one-shot onto Cinderace. So we get the one-hit knockout, I get the speed boost, I bring Zacian back out, and this makes sense because they're probably expecting Rayquaza to be physical, so it's like, oh, why don't I just bring in Incineroar for Intimidate? This works out so well for us, though, if we get the one-hit KO. If we don't get the one-hit KO, we're going to be in some trouble, I think, but this should get the KO. Beautiful. Oh, actually, they're fighting type. Yeah, there's no way. I was thinking whether or not it would get the KO if they were fire type still, but with Libero changing their type, that was guaranteed. But to be honest, I think even if they didn't change type there, we were still good. Okay, now it's Zacian. This team is so fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. So, hope you guys have enjoyed watching the episodes with it. Like, it's just one of the best constructed Rayquaza teams. And, you know, there aren't that many Rayquaza teams running around, but this team utilizes it just so dang well. And I think there's, like, clearly so much thought that went into the process here if you read that team report, which I've linked down in the description below. Okay, Yveltal comes out now. Still possible for my opponent to win, especially if they're Assault Vested, but now that we have the speed advantage, I think we should be in relatively good shape. Play Rough will obviously just demolish the Yveltal. Like, I think one play you can make here, because Yveltal shouldn't actually pressure Zacian for a one-hit knockout here, so I'm willing to just go for a Behemoth... Actually, would I Behemoth Blade or Play Rough here? I'm okay clicking Behemoth Blade because I don't want to miss a Play Rough, and I don't necessarily need to get a one-hit knockout onto Yveltal. So I'm down to just... Ooh, I was going to click Max Quake there, but the reason why it could not be worth it is because Instinct could switch out into Raichu here. Yeah. So Worm wins the best option because it one-shots both Incineroar and Raichu from this angle. Yeah, and this is exactly why I went for this play, because the obvious play for me to make is to protect the Zacian, right? But if I protect Zacian, they can just sacrifice Raichu, get Incineroar back in, and then cycle it back in. The only question this turn was whether or not I should have clicked Play Rough, because it would have been a 90% chance to just one-shot Yveltal immediately, versus, like, I don't think there's any chance I'm one-shotting Yveltal here, but I do so much damage that I think Rayquaza should just win 2v1 against both Yveltal and against the Incineroar. That was kind of the logic here. That was even though that seemed like just a really safe play, like, it is important to highlight that, like, if I go for a Max Quake there, because they have Air Balloon on Raichu, it actually plays out completely differently, right? I guess Yveltal does get Tailwind up here. Is that a problem? Yeah, actually, I knew it wasn't Assault Vest Yveltal, and I knew they had Tailwind, so I actually now am wondering if I made the best possible play there. I still think it's fine, because I don't think they can handle Rayquaza very well right now, but... especially because I have a speed boost on this, so I should outspeed Incineroar, so I think the best play is to just simply protect here, and then just Airstream to one-shot Incineroar, and then it's a 2v1 against Yveltal that's really low HP. Yeah, you can Oblivion Wing, but are you really going to heal back enough, and how are you KOing Zacian? The answer is I don't think you will. Yeah, they just end up forfeiting. Cool. I think this team just highlights the advantage of speed, right? And how you can build really smartly to get around a Pokemon's weaknesses, right? Like, and intuitively, you wouldn't think Rayquaza would be great against Zacian in this format. And it's not if you get outsped, because they just pressure with Play Rough or, you know, Behemoth Blade. But what this team does so well is put Rayquaza in a position where it can always, not always, but almost always outpace your opponents. Now, granted, we didn't go up against any, like, Trick Room comps. That's where Umbreon and Incineroar would come in a lot more handy. But in, like, what, the 8 games that we played, Trick Room, we just, like, didn't really see at all. And so the idea then is to just outpace our opponents and put Rayquaza in a position where it can really just move and, you know, get a one-hit knockout onto Zacian. I wish there was like a Zacian one-hit knockout counter while we were using this team, because I feel like we knocked out 3 or 4 throughout the couple of games, which I think is really satisfying. But ultimately, I had so much fun with this one. So huge thank you to Scott once again for the team. Check him out linked in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.